Hello. It is about 2 a.m., I think. And I wanted to share the story of a experience I had tonight at a event that I went to. So, I got invited to this event that Twitter put on at their LA office. They have this new platform called Niche. That's really cool. It's for influencers to help them do sponsored campaigns with brands, which is, as you may know, a big part of my business, but it's part of my business twofold. Just a little backstory for context is, in addition to running Eco-Vegan Gal and doing all sorts of type of work with that type of monetization income that I have, a large part of my income, some months, not all months, but some months is based in sponsored content, so working with brands and getting paid to do campaigns that are in alignment with me and my message. Also, the other half of my business and a big passion of mine is teaching content creators how to monetize their own work. And you're going to see more and more about this from me because I'm just getting it out there. It's a big, big passion of mine. And so that not only gives you context for why I went to this event, but also context for what happened at this event tonight. So I go to this event, had pretty low expectations. It ended up being one of the better events/parties that I've been to in a little while. It was just very, very cool. A room or an office packed full of influencers, but they did a very cool job with it, Twitter that is. They had Cafe Gratitude food there, which is incredible organic plant-based food. They had good drinks, like really good cocktails, and they had champagne at the door when you walked in. And if you want to see behind the scenes of this, or like not really behind the scenes, but like what it was like to be there, I did a Periscope for the first time in a while. I felt like since I was at Twitter, I should do a Periscope. It was actually the live stream platform I haven't used in a very long time. So that's still up on the Eco-Vegan Gal Twitter account if you want to check it out and see what this event was like. You'll see it looks like just like a party, and it was mainly full of like 20-something-year-olds who are Instagrammers and YouTubers, etc. And I was there with my friend Jason, and we were walking around just checking things out, and they had all these cool like little elements to it, which is part of what made this party fun. Is a lot of parties, including one that I went to the previous night at YouTube, are just like food and drinks and people standing around awkwardly. And that's basically what I expected, because I'd been to one of these niche parties in the past, and it was just like, you're standing there like, I don't know anybody here, and I don't really feel like introducing myself. There's just like this awkwardness. I don't know. You guys can probably relate. I feel like that's true of most parties. You end up just talking to the people that you went with, even though you really want to meet other people. It's just hard to do. But they made it a little bit easier because they had all these elements. So you walk in, you get the champagne, there's a DJ, there's like photos at the front, there's photos in a different section, there was people doing like caricature drawing or whatever you call that, and there was this room where they were doing haikus. Like, you would give these haiku writers, these professional haiku writers, a phrase, and they would write a little poem around that phrase, which I thought was very clever. And there's the food. And then, like, after I did the haiku thing with Jason, I looked around the corner and I was like, what are they doing over there? There's like this around in the hallway. I thought, like, is that just people hanging out? But it kind of seemed like some activity was happening. And we walk a little bit closer and we find out that they're doing tarot card readings. And I was like, that was kind of fun. And at this point in the party, Jason and I hadn't really talked to anybody yet. We ended up talking to them, spoiler alert, later on, and it got really fun. But we expected to be at this party for like an hour, and I'm thinking, like, okay, we'll help pass the time by doing tarot reading, like, just for fun. And so we wait in line, and we end up running into this really cool YouTuber that you may know named Nikki Limo, who has done some vegan content in the past, and it was just neat to talk to her and her husband. And we're just kind of chatting, and they were waiting in line for the tarot card reading too. Again, I had like no expectations. So we sit down, and there were two different card readers, and I just like, we ended up getting pulled into this one booth. They were like booths that people would typically like eat their lunch at. Again, this is in the Twitter office, so it's like outside the kitchen. So I'm sure that's where like the employees have lunch. So imagine like booths like that would be in a restaurant with walls and all of that separating each other. Maybe they're meeting tables. I don't know. But we sit down and this tarot card reader is like decked out. She's young, probably in her 20s, I would guess, blonde, and just like wearing this cool hat with this big feather, black feather, and a necklace and bracelets and just like a cool outfit. She had a crystal ball on the table. So it felt kind of gimmicky, right? And I wasn't taking it seriously at all, but was curious about it. And I remember feeling like when I sat down, I felt like, okay, I'm going to commit to this. I'm just going to like be up for the experience. I've had the tarot card reading done like a couple times in my life. One time was done by a friend of a friend, and it was actually a phenomenal experience. I don't know if you guys believe in this or not, but I'm at least very curious about it. And actually, I feel like when the other person did it for my friend's friend did it for me last year, I don't know if it's everybody calls it tarot cards. Like I guess they're different terms. I don't really know much about this at all, but I'm fascinated by it. So anyways, we sit down, she's decked out, we're sitting in front of this little crystal ball, and she asked if Jason and I were dating. We're like, no, we're not. And so she said, okay, well, just to be clear about what's going on here. And that's all she asked. She asked our names too. And then, since Jason and I are sitting together across the table from her in this pretty small booth, she asks who wants to go first. And Jason and I look at each other and we're like, there's like no indication. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll volunteer to go first and have my reading done first. So she asked Jason to like move to the far side of the booth, which is like a few inches away, like 12 inches maybe from me, a foot. And she positions me like right in front of her in the crystal ball. And I remember feeling in that moment like, wow, like there was like an energy that, oh, actually, I should preface this by the fact that when we got there to do the reading, she had been doing a bunch of readings before us. She'd been hired by Twitter to be part of, or hired by somebody for this Twitter party to do these card readings. And when we got there, she decided to go take a break, and she went and like got sparkling water, LaCroix, or however people pronounce the name of that water. It's a sparkling water beverage that's becoming very popular, and she has one in her hand. And so I remember just thinking like, okay, like this is such like a modern day thing. Like maybe she doesn't take this very seriously. It didn't matter to me because we're at a party and like I'm not paying for it and I'm just kind of like there to experience it. But it was just kind of funny if you're visualizing this, like she's drinking sparkling water as she's like gearing up to do this tarot card reading. And she closes her eyes. She has these big lashes on, like these long black lashes. So when she closes her eyes, all I can see are her lashes. And yet, despite the fact that there's like a crystal ball, it feels really gimmicky. She's drinking this sparkling water. She's all decked out. I'm in the midst of this like big party. I still felt like she was really taking it seriously. And she wasn't there to just like play around. She actually like has a gift for this. And so I decide that I'm just going to fully open up and go with it. And she closes her eyes. And I'm like, and she's like really pausing. It's not like a momentary. She's like there for what felt like a long time with her eyes closed, tuning into the energy. And I'm a big believer in energy and just like feeling people's vibes, and understanding my own energy and how to tap into myself and open myself up. Like, you pretty much always have this choice about how you're going to show up and interact with other people. So I decide that I'm going to fully participate, and in that moment I just thought I should probably just close my eyes and ground into this moment. So I uncrossed my legs, took a deep breath, closed my eyes, and just like focused on being open energetically. And she asked me if I had a specific question in mind for her or if she just wanted to do like a general reading. And so for me, I felt like I'm not very good at answering questions or even asking a question off the top of my head. I wasn't prepared. And in addition to that, I was just kind of curious how well she could read me. So I decided not to give her any information. I said, yeah, just do a reading of me. And I was truly blown away. And I've thought about this before. I don't know if you guys have, but you think about magicians and psychics, tarot card readers, like these people that make this their business. They have a lot of methods of getting information from people and making it seem like there's magic involved, right? And I'm someone who's like slightly skeptical, but also a believer in some things like that. And I do feel like there's power, and I feel like I don't know if I would use the word magic, but there's an energy, and this is one of those moments where I like really believe in energy, and it's like I got to see some proof of it, if that makes sense, because I could not believe what she said about me without knowing anything. And again, this is different from like a psychic, although maybe not so much. She actually didn't even look at any cards, now that I think about it. She had cards on the table, but she didn't look at them, so maybe she was more of a psychic. I'm not sure, but it definitely was advertised as a tarot card reader. Maybe I should change the title of this video. But anyways, so she immediately starts talking about how I'm ready for a relationship. And she said it in such a clear, intuitive way that I was like, she's so right. Like, that is a very big focus of mine right now, is that I do feel very ready for my next big relationship, the next big love in my life. And I think about it a lot, and I think about like how I can do my best to show up for that. And so she just like went on this like just flow of sharing things that I would describe for myself. And I was just like very, I don't know, it just really took me back because I just didn't tell her anything about myself, And you hear these stories all the time, like, you see, again, like magic happening. If you ever watch like magic shows or documentaries like David Blaine or something, or like you see stories of psychics, like I was just sitting there going like, it's amazing. I really feel like some people just have this gift for being able to read others. And then I started to think maybe we all actually have that gift. It's just some of us choose to tap into it or like practice tapping into it, and some of us don't. And through the course of this, it's hard to, because, I was really trying to be in the moment. And at one point I was like, I really wish I was like doing an audio recording of this so I could really listen back to everything she said. But the gist of it was her talking about how I was really ready for relationships and was just kind of open to that and wanting to draw that in. I don't remember if she said like a relationship's on its way or anything like that, but one thing she did say was that I had some resistance to marriage. And I don't know if that's fully true, but it did get me thinking, so that made it kind of interesting. It's like sometimes those situations just make you wonder like, wow, this is basically a stranger's perspective of me. And if anything, like that's what's interesting about a reading of any type, is a complete stranger is telling you what they perceive about you. And that's actually a very rare experience, because most often when we ask for somebody's opinion on us or perspective on our lives, they're people that we know well, so they tend to be very biased. Or they're people like complete strangers that often lead to maybe critical things, but their line of work is not to read people. So when you are with somebody who has practiced reading other people and observing other people and feeling other people on an energetic level, it's such an interesting experience. And it was so accurate, right? Like, I don't know how she comes up with all this stuff. Maybe people, it's like astrology, if you believe in that, like horoscopes, like are they just like spouting out general things that apply to most people? Can they sense subtle things in people's facial expressions and body posture and all of that? Or are they truly feeling tapping into some sort of energy, right? I felt like it was maybe a combination of all of those things, but it felt so accurate. But the thing that was probably the biggest takeaway that I was thinking about and inspired me to make this video was she started talking at several points actually about how big I think she used the word spirit was. She's like, I just feel like this openness to you and this, I don't know if she said like bigness, like just something like she might have even gestured, but in my head, I just could feel like an aura almost. She didn't use that word, but like this energy field that feels very big and open and loving and ready for things. And she said that she also saw a movie screen, and she paused and she's like, does that have anything to do with your life? And I said, well, yeah, I make videos. Like, that's a huge part of my life for YouTube. And she goes, okay. She's like, well, I don't know what type of screen it is that I'm seeing. But she says, I'm seeing a screen, but it's very small and it's gray. And she said, what I'm picking up on right here is that the work that you're doing right now might not be within your full potential, or there's something about it that's not fully in alignment with who you are. And when she said that, there was a part of me that felt like I was resonating with that so much. And whether or not she intended it, my interpretation and my feeling of this was that, yeah, here I was at this influencer party. I spend every single day of my life for many, many years as a content creator trying to like figure out how I fit in and how it fits into me and this whole world. And it's often very interesting when you're surrounded by other content creators, influencers, whatever you want to call them, because you kind of fall into these like comparison mentalities. And what was very interesting about this is that Jason and we went to that other event last night at YouTube, and afterwards we were talking about like this comparison place that we can commonly get into, where we tend to compare where we're at with our careers. And I think a lot of people can relate to this, not just content creators. But the thing with content creators is that in addition to comparing or I would say our main way of comparing ourselves to each other is either how high our numbers are, like followers and view counts and engagement, all that stuff, but also how many opportunities we get. And most conversations with content creators are like, hey, how are things going? And then people just start rattling off like opportunities they've had and like, oh, I'm working with this company or blah, it's like those type of conversations. And so you just naturally, for many of us, start to compare yourself to one another, and you're like, wow, so-and-so has this many followers, and so like got this deal, and so, it's like, it's a very kind of Hollywood's online media type of thing, and it's like, it can kind of eat away at you. You guys, if you've been following me for a while, have probably heard me discuss this a lot. It's like, I struggle with these things because there's like this validation of, you feel like you're not good enough if you don't have a certain number, if you don't get a certain number of followers or likes or comments, or if you get a bad comment, it completely ruins you and you're just like, your self-worth feels destroyed because somebody said something really cruel and you just feel judged. And there's just like so many emotions about putting yourself out there in a public way that maybe not everybody can relate to with other careers, because being a content creator is like sharing your life or creating a life around this. It's very public. It's about like always showing yourself. You're always putting yourself out there. And obviously I love it. Like here I am talking very vulnerably about my life and my experiences. And this is just a very natural thing for me. But to the point of this tarot card reader, psychic, whatever she was, it was like there is something I'm almost like playing small. And she said, I think what you need to focus on is bringing more color to your life. And she closed her eyes again and was like, I keep seeing the color pink for you. And I was like, because pink's not really my color. I'm more attracted to like purple and blue, but I like pink. And pink's also a very feminine color, so it also tied into like what she was saying about the romance side of things. But she was also just like, in addition to just seeing pink, was also like talking about color and how when she was viewing like a huge part of my life, which is content creation, video creation, she was seeing it as small and gray versus big and colorful. And she said, you have such a big spirit or a big soul that it kind of out of alignment. And I hadn't ever thought about it exactly like that, but it really made a lot of sense for me. It really resonated with me because I thought, you know what? Something does feel off for me and has felt off for me. I just haven't been able to pinpoint it. And I think that's part of the reason why I felt very compelled to take time off. And when you guys see me go through these phases where I don't create content, it's often because just something feels out of alignment and I just need to stop or pause to figure things out. However, what's really hard about that is, unfortunately, especially on YouTube, but I feel like on most social media, you kind of get punished, for lack of a better word, or docked, or you have to take a step back if you stop. And, I've been creating content since 2008, so almost 9 years since I officially started in October of 2008. So I'm coming up very close to 10 years of creating content. And it is a hustle, and you have to kind of like figure out who you are and figure out how you fit in and figure out all these strategies. And meanwhile, you're encouraged to always be going. And for me, a big struggle has been wanting to be authentic, wanting to be myself, wanting to be my best self and share like who I fully am and color. But trying to express all of that stuff is challenging. Trying to figure out exactly how you want to share your voice and connect with people. There's just like a lot to do all at once. And because I study all of this, I see so frequently a lot of the like what's often common for very large content creators, like on YouTube, for example, you see this very frequently, is that major stars, YouTube stars, let's focus on them, get to a point of either burnout or major frustration. And you see them doing all this great work and gaining all this popularity, and then they kind of just like shift everything over to either stopping entirely or like wanting to do something completely different. Great example, Michelle Phan, who's very well known for her beauty channel. She just recently put out a video sharing like the struggles that she went through and the pressure she was under. Anthony from Smosh just decided to leave Smosh. Smosh is like one of the #1 YouTube channels of all time. I think maybe like they're number 2 or 3 in terms of followership last time I checked. And Anthony is one of the stars and creators of this channel, and he just officially quit, left it, and to focus on his own channel because he felt like Smosh was kind of out of alignment. That's not exactly what he said, but basically the essence of it. And you see this time and time again, like Casey Neistat, a vlogger that I really appreciate. He's taken time off. It's just so fascinating to see this culture where there's all this pressure to kind of fit yourself into something, and yet if you try to be who you really are, it doesn't always fit, so it doesn't always work. I don't know if any of this is making sense, but that's been like where I've been with this whole process, and it's just so fascinating. It's like I want to thrive with this, but I haven't figured out how to thrive fully while thriving, fully with my career while thriving as a person, and yet my personal life and my career are so interchangeable, right? And it's amazing that a stranger could identify that within me and could also identify the whole like romantic side of it. I feel like there was something else that she said that might come to me later, but those were like the two big things. I just remember the screen, the color pink, and this whole romantic thing, and her bringing up like how I might have resistance to marriage, which on the surface level I didn't think I did, but maybe she is right. And so it's a chance to kind of like tune into that. And I think like whether or not you believe in tarot card readers or psychics or like any of that type of thing, it is such an amazing opportunity to like ask a stranger to tell you about your life and what they think about it, and who knows what methods they're using. But really it's like it kind of doesn't really matter, because if you're going to somebody who really like means well and is trying their best to actually tap into you and is not just doing it for a gimmick or doing it for money, if they really care, they're actually going to do their best to at least observe you and try to tell you, reflect something back to you. And it's kind of this beautiful experience to be able to have that. And I just felt like very impressed. And to solidify it even more, Jason had his reading right after me. And so I slid over into the other side of the bench and he sat right down in front of her in the crystal ball. And she right off the bat started listing things off about his life that again are like very, very specific to him. And we were both like, wow, this woman like really knows what she's talking about. And she said some very profound things about his life that resonated, and kind of not super similar, but in the same vein. And so we were able to kind of reflect upon it together. And I thought that was such a special experience too. So maybe there's an advantage of being able to do things like that with your friends or someone close to you. I think she was also saying that it's harder to do a reading with, or maybe she didn't say that. That might have been something else entirely. I was going to say, I think I was like, didn't she say something about it's harder to do a reading when people are a couple? But I think I was thinking of something else entirely. Anyways, it's fascinating, and it felt like just an opportunity to reflect and kind of give myself permission to change things up and to not try to fit myself into a box. And I would give the same advice to you. I think we, especially in the US or maybe some other countries that operate similarly to the US, we have so much freedom. We have these lives right now. Hopefully we will continue to for a while, but right now we're in a period of time, most of us, where we have a lot of freedom to be who we want to be. And many countries allow us to do whatever work that we want. Many of us are raised by family members that are at least semi-supportive of us following our dreams and pursuing what we want to do in life. And that's a really beautiful thing. But yet, we also live in a culture that rewards us for being similar to one another, to following trends. Trends are basically a bunch of people doing the same things. And we're psychologically rewarded and psychologically, what's the opposite of rewarded? Kind of like ostracized, made fun of, penalized, I guess is the word I'm looking for, if we're not similar to other people. Like if you dress differently, people might make fun of you, judge you, and be like, wow, look at that weird outfit that person's wearing. Look at, like there's all these examples of judgment too. I mean, people are judged for their race, for their gender, for their sexuality, for the way they dress, for the way that they live, for all these choices that they make. So it is fascinating, and I think that's part of what I've experienced. I'm sure you guys can relate to this too, whether it's your personal life or your career or your passions, like all of these different elements of your life where there's so much of us inside where we're yearning to fully be who we are, to fully express who we are and go after our dreams and our goals, our desires, these things at a core of us that we really want. And some of us are raised to go after those things, And despite, even with supportive family members or supportive social environments, we still struggle with anybody outside of those circles because, like I said, there's this duality in many parts of the world where you're simultaneously encouraged to be unique and do whatever you want in life and anything's possible. And yet, if you're not like everybody else, then you're kind of weird and you might not be accepted and you might be judged or you might be hurt. You might, like, look at all these crimes that, or these horrible things that happen around the world of when people disagree with one another, like the fights that happen, the wars that happen, the killings that happen. And maybe that's also, it's showing up in the media so much right now. It's like the media just loves to highlight any time disagreements happen. It's like we're also fascinating with it. We're terrified of disagreeing with other people because on a very primal level, we don't want to be ostracized. We deep down have this fear that we're going to be left out and starve, be killed because, hi, Artist Infantry, who's joining live right now. We have this fear of, if we're not accepted, then we won't survive. That's like an actual psychological, primal thing that almost all of us experience. And if we focus too much on that, though, we start to lose ourselves. And so with the way that our families operate, our social environments operate, our governments operate, the media operates, it's always like, hey, be yourself, but also be like everybody else. And I feel like it's very frustrating, confusing, and a lot of people are just like, I don't want to be myself. I just want to be quiet, and I just want to blend in. I don't want anyone to notice me. I don't want to cause any trouble. I just want to, like, get by. I'm not that type of person. However, I do see myself trying to fit in because I want to be accepted. Because, like, so much of my whole career, actually, in a way, is based around being accepted. Because if I literally am not liked, then I don't have the followers, the view counts, the comments, the likes on any of my content. And if I don't have those numbers, then I won't make the ad revenue, and then I won't get the sponsorships, and then I won't get the sales on products or things that I'm doing. Like, so much, in fact, almost my entire livelihood depends on people liking me. And that's, like, kind of messed up. You know what I mean? Like, it's a mind trip, to say it kindly. And so no wonder it's exhausting emotionally. No wonder I feel so conflicted, is because I really would love to just, I yearn and I strive to be fully myself and to not worry about doing things right, following formulas and being cool and all of that. But I see time and time again people, quote unquote, surpassing me numbers wise because they're following those formulas and they're going with the trends and they're doing all this stuff. And it's like, what do you do? Personally, I choose to find a balance. And I believe deep down that if I'm authentic and if I am open and follow my heart, that will always be rewarded, because there's always going to be there's so many of us that are similar to one another all across the world. And we're so fortunate to have the internet that we can connect with each other and find each other. So my feeling is, like, the people are perhaps like you who's watching right now have found me and connect with me, and that's because I've opened up and I've been as real about it as I can be in these moments when I'm recording or making content. And there's, like, I don't know if you guys can relate to this, but especially with social media, do you ever post something and then feel like you've only done it because you know it's going to be liked? That happens so much too. That's a massive issue where women especially I mean, I can really only speak of this from a woman's perspective, of course, because I'm a woman. I see so many women desperate for validation, and whether it's validation so that they feel pretty, validation so they feel successful, validation so they feel needed, wanted, important, all of these things, right, that plague a lot of us. I see women around my age, younger than me, who do things online simply because they know they'll be rewarded, simply because they know that it'll be liked. And for me, the ongoing struggle is not wanting to do those things. Let's just say, like, posing in bikinis or wearing a ton of makeup that looks perfect and having their hair perfect and wearing certain clothes and being in shape. You know, that's something I struggle with a lot. I've had body issues since I was in my teens, and I've struggled so much with my body issues. Some of you may know that I had an eating disorder that I don't believe ever fully went away. It did for the most part, but emotionally it still lingers. If any of you have struggled with an eating disorder, you can relate. I think a lot of people have eating disorders on some level. Some body dysmorphic disorder is very common. But I bring that up because on social media, especially for women, you know, there's a lot of pressure socially to have a certain body shape. And on almost a daily basis, I see, I would say constantly actually, because this is part of the disordered thinking that I've had, is seeing women that have certain body shapes and are getting tons of likes and followers. And in my head, I constantly think, well, maybe if I looked like that, more people would like me and I would become more important. Like, these are the things that go through our heads. I know I'm not alone because I talk to women about this stuff, and it's like, man, it just runs rampant as a content creator. But I think it runs rampant on just social media, period, even if content creation is not fully your thing. I think, and I would love to hear this in the comments from you guys if you can relate to this, or who of you can relate to this, because I know some of you are going to, is this pressure to be a certain way, to do things, because we're all, or many of us are so in desire of acceptance for one reason or another. Maybe that's just the human experience overall. I can only speak for myself, really, and friends I've spoken to about this. We're all looking for fulfillment, peace of mind, satisfaction, love, all of these things pretty much the same. And social media has put us in this place where we can get validation really easily, and we can feel rejected very easily. We can feel like we fit in, or we can feel like we don't fit in at all. And even the people who seem like they fit in, if you talk to a lot of them, many of them don't feel like they fit in at all. I'm always shocked, no matter how many conversations I've had. I know a lot of very successful content creators, whether they're YouTubers or Instagrammers or whatever. I talk to them. I know that because I go to all these events and make all these friends. Like, it's just part of my world. I've met with some of the most successful people in these fields, and it may shock you guys, it definitely shocks me, to realize that their success does not, A, equal happiness, which might sound obvious, but I think is an important reminder, because we often connect success with happiness, but they still have self-worth issues. They still don't feel good enough. They still don't feel content. They still feel like they're doing things wrong. They still, you know, like, there's all of these same things, and I have to remind myself of that all the time. Is what's most important is feeling and finding my own peace of mind, my own self-acceptance. And really tying this back into the tarot card reading was like doing the things that fully fully are in alignment with my spirit, my soul, my aura, again, my energy, whatever word you want to use, full expression of that, and not living in gray world or black and white world, but living in full color. That's up to me to decide. That's up to me to feel. That's not up to me to ask other people if I'm doing it right, judge myself if I'm doing it right. Like, I just have to tap into that and choose that and live that. And I can do that right now, no matter what the heck my numbers are, whether we're talking likes or followers or comments or money even. Like, any of these numbers that we use to determine our worth, to look for happiness or fulfillment, it's not going to happen there. It's so true that it's all about that coming within ourselves and really just seeking that inner peace. And then if we want to go after those other external things, there's no harm in doing that. I love being a content creator, but I think redefining that love and not seeking external love, but internal love. I think a lot of lessons come down to that, honestly. You guys don't have to get a tarot card reading or go to a psychic to figure these things out. I can just share that with you, and if it resonates with you, and this is speaking to your heart, I think you can get those same lessons. But it is pretty interesting when somebody says it to your face and in the context of your own life, and they're bringing up things that you're thinking, wow, that is so true. And maybe that's the secret of being a tarot card reader or psychic, is simply that we're all struggling with a very similar thing of not fully expressing ourselves, of letting things hold us back, of wanting more love in our life. Those are all universal things. Well, I am going to go reflect on that and listen to an audiobook. I'm actually listening to a book that's really lovely called If the Buddha Dated. I think that's what it's called. And it's a book I've been wanting to read for a while, so I got it on overdrive, and it's just great. I'll link to it. Hi, Teresa. And I'm going to head to bed. Just, think about all this. Thank you guys for tuning in that we're watching live, and of course, the majority of you watching the recording. I really, really appreciate all of you. And not just because you're watching and you're a number, like, really, I wish I could just get to know each and every one of you. I wish that, wouldn't it be amazing if I could just see each and every one of you as you're watching this? Like, I don't know if that makes sense, but like in some sci-fi future of like really getting to know you guys, like whether it was digitally or in person. A huge focus of mine right now is live events. And Sarah, yes, you know what? I was hoping that, and it's possible, but might not happen tomorrow, but I was hoping for tomorrow to launch Eco Vegan Pal, or do at least like a mini launch of it or pre-launch or something. I was hoping to do that tomorrow, or technically today, Friday the 16th. Is it the 16th? But I haven't been very focused the last few days. I was so exhausted after the big sale I did for my ebook. I'm working on so many projects and going to all these events and stuff like that. It's been a little distracting, and I'm exhausted. So we'll see. But Sarah, it's right around the corner. And actually, if any of you want to join Eco Vegan Pal, all you have to do is message me or email me. You can join right now if you want. It's just I don't have the full like sales page, landing page, whatever it is, sign up page, registration page, whatever you want to call it. That's not done yet. But Eco Vegan Pal is active, and it's still in its beta element. But any of you guys can join right now. Just, you can leave a comment. Hopefully I'll see it because I don't always read them, but you can message or email me or send me a message on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, wherever else you are. Those are usually good mediums to reach me. And I will send you the details. It's a paid membership, just to be clear about that. But there is so much value in there. And it's just more and more and more. I'm pouring my full heart into it. And I have another element of Eco Vegan Pal that I was working on today mentally that is very exciting and is an unpaid element of it. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot. I really hope that Eco Vegan Pal is like a big, big thing in my life for years to come. That's my plan with it. So if you guys want to get in right now at the beginning stages, is a good time to really be involved with it and help shape it, because it's right now it's just a small community of people that were interested from the get-go, and you pay a membership fee and you're part of this really special community of people, and you're able to get to know one another and get to know me on a deeper level and get all sorts of special content. And there's just so much. I do daily Facebook Lives for Eco Vegan Pal right now, and I'm just like always thinking of new things. So yeah, that's there. If you guys want it, just ask. And if you aren't ready yet, then you will see the full detailed page of it whenever I have the chance to finish it, maybe this weekend. So I'm going to wrap things up. Teresa just asked how much it is. I don't want to say in a video because it's like a permanent video. I have a general idea of it, but I'm still not 100% sure. It will be under $10 a month, I can tell you that. So I know that's vague. Yeah, so right now I'm bringing in people that are annual members because I want people that are very committed to it. In the future, you'll be able to join on a monthly basis, but currently I'm only bringing in people that will pay for all 12 months up front and be committed to be part of it annually, so that they're like really in it, not just like people that want to dabble in it. That'll be an option later on if people just want to come and go as they please. But right now I'm looking for people that want to be fully in it, and I have a great group of people right now that are doing just that. So if any of you guys want to get in and be annual members, just send me a message and I'll send you some more details, and you can help me really fine tune it so that it's ready for the big public launch. All right, I find myself getting very tired. So that's a sign that I should go to bed. Thank you guys as always. I'll be back on Monday at the latest for another live video. I do videos every Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And if you need to convert that to your time zone, just go to timeanddate.com. I'll be on the main Eco Vegan Gal channels today on Instagram Live, Facebook Live, and YouTube Live. And I usually do the Instagram Lives around 4:30 p.m. Pacific, Facebook Live at 5 p.m. Pacific, and YouTube Live at 5:10, 5:15 Pacific. So there's just one after another. It's all under Eco Vegan Gal, and the links are in the description. And then after that, I go over to Eco Vegan Pal and do like a 30-minute live video / Q&A there. So if any of you become Eco Vegan Pal members, you could see all 4 live videos, or just pick the one that you're most interested in. And yeah, so lots and lots of content for you guys right now. A lot of things in development. Feel like after today, the reading and talking about it in this video, that I am very, very committed to doing things that are as big as my spirit. So thank you for being part of this journey, because each and every one of you inspire me through your comments and just your support, whether you're just watching or you're part of the communities or maybe even on Patreon. Any type of support that you guys offer is deeply, deeply meaningful to me. So thank you. And I will see you very soon. Until then, wishing you the very best. I look forward to reading comments on the subject matter. And Have a good night, Sarah. Thanks so much for being here. Just seeing the little smiley emoji fills my heart with some joy. It's all about that connection. Okay, until next time. Bye, everyone.